Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the New Year Best You Dream Big Summit. I'm Elizabeth, here with Carolyn Lewis. Carolyn, how are you?
I'm great, Elizabeth. It's so good to be here with you today.
Thank you for being part of our summit and being one of our 14 speakers. In the community, we ask everybody in the community, we asked our speakers to do this too, is to pick a word and kind of root in that word and anchor in that word for the year rather than do a bunch of resolutions and all this stuff. So we actually are trending on Twitter, and we've been trending on Twitter since the new year with one word 2023, with people chiming in with their words and all sorts of ideas and stuff regarding the idea, which I love it. It's a lot of fun. And so far we've talked about, I'm just going to run through really fast. If you're watching all of our videos, we're streaming live on LinkedIn and also on Facebook. You can go to besteveryou.com and actually register for the conference if you want to. Everybody who registers is going to be entered into some drawings and things like that that'll kind of happen during and after the conference. But so far we've talked about purpose with Indiana Gregg, effort with Sally Huss, commitment with Rebecca Silence, perseverance with Joe Spurley, compassion with Mary Joy. Isn't that fun? All these great words. Goals with Rick Keller. That was today. And we're going to be talking about what word with you, Carolyn?
Transform. So my word for this year is actually transform.
I love it. So why'd you pick that word?
Oh, so you're jumping right into it.
I
Okay.
am. We'll come back though in a second and go through your bio. I'm not going to read bios, but we'll come back for a second. But I am really curious.
Okay, great.
I was curious.
So
I'm like, I wonder why she picked that word. What's going on?
yeah, so for me, transform represents the ability to grow and to change. So for a lot of people, when they think of transform, there's the analogy of the butterfly going through the life cycle of change. And
Yeah.
so, through that process, I hope you're not hearing my dog in the
You
background.
hear them, but you know what? We are dog friendly, kid
Oh
friendly,
my gosh, it's like
bulldog
all
friendly.
day
It is
they're
about
quiet, and then as soon as you're
mortified,
on the phone,
your eyes are widening, like quiet dogs. I have puppies in the background, and I
oh
fully.
my gosh.
Somebody just said
So
hi, guys. Hi, how are you? We got a crowd here, so no, it's all good. You're so loved. Yeah, it's all good. You're in great spaces with us, and trusted place and space. We're all good with
yeah,
everything that happens. So,
okay.
yeah, no, okay. So you can. I know.
Yes.
Yeah, keep going.
So for me, it's the metaphor of personal growth and change. And so with the life cycle of the butterfly, you go from this state of being the caterpillar, which is so ugly and it feels like there's nothing that you can accomplish in life, and then you sometimes go through this change where before the change there's this pause where you feel like nothing's happening, and then your life looks so much different from the where you started. And so for me, transform is a word that it symbolizes my life and the changes that I would have gone through in different seasons and of growth, and where my life can now look so much different from where it did 5 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago. So it's a very special word to me.
Powerful. It's a really powerful word. So hi to everybody saying hi to us. We love you all. Thank you for being here. Okay, so I'm going to back up a little bit. The one thing I didn't want to do was like sit here and like read bios. It looks so silly, and I didn't want to mess up and have like not have something memorized about you. So I've been asking everybody just tell us a little bit about who you are and what's your website, and just pertinent information that you want people to know while we're
Okay,
talking.
great. So again, my name is Carolyn Lewis. I'm 29 years old. So for the majority of my life, I've been involved in the tech sector for about 12 years, and with higher education. And 8 years into it, I decided to leave the organization that I was working for and transition to being a consultant full time. And so that was designing solutions for organizations with technology, but also as an organizational change agent. So more than working with the technology, which supported these systems, it was working with the people in the organization to understand what were their needs and how can we create a solution for them that involved the people. And so that's where human-centered design comes in. It's understanding the people in your organization and what they need so that you can create solutions. So over the past year, I've been working with another organization by the name of Juice Spaces on this amazing NFT project. Some of them might probably be on the stream. And that's Tiffany's Identity, which is all about creating solutions for women who are trying to discover their identity and their purpose, what makes them unique, and networking them with people who can help them to make their dreams a reality.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Where do you want people to go for a website for you, or do you just want people to connect with you on
LinkedIn is
LinkedIn?
great.
Yeah.
So I've been in this process of trying to start, building my own website, but I've just been developing on LinkedIn and seeing that after that, the website
Yeah.
will come. So
Yeah, I gotcha. I have that too. I have besteveryou.com, and then there's my personal website. My personal website is never
oh, really?
updated. Yeah,
I'm gonna look for
it's
that.
funny.
I've never seen your personal website, so I'm gonna look for
Got
that one.
poems and my
Yes, it's
little
really nice.
side thing that I do. But anyway, yeah, thank you for having me involved with Tiffany's Identity. I love all you guys, and I love being part of your community. And so, welcome to ours. This is our kind of first introduction of you to the Best Ever You community, and so it's really special to have you here. And I'm glad that you said yes. And transformation is a huge topic. It's one of my favorite topics. It's so cool to see somebody just go from here to just a smile from ear to ear. The changes that people
Sure.
can make to completely either like even the slightest adjustment can transform. Just the little changes that compound. We were talking about that with Rick. So anyway, um, would you share for me? We call this in Best Ever You, your incredible yes. What's a moment where you said yes to something or someone and it changed your life?
Oh wow. So for me it was a couple of years back. I think it was 2016. Um, Funnily enough, it was the first time that I traveled outside of my country, outside of my hometown. It was to Haiti, which, surprisingly enough, it wasn't for vacation. It wasn't with my family or my friends, but I was invited on the opportunity to dig wells in a remote village in Haiti.
Wow.
And so that experience was, I would say it's a very life changing experience for me because I mean, a lot of people know Haiti from the perspective of the poverty and the destruction that would have taken place over the years. Um, but what was so transformational for me wasn't so much the poverty as it was working with the people within Haiti. So, just to give you a big picture of what it was like leaving my comfortable home where you have access to anything you need and you're comfortable. You're going into this place where there's no access to clean water, no access to electricity, and
Yeah.
you're traveling and you wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning and you're on the road for 2 hours driving to this village with 8 other people in the back of a van. It's chaotic. And you're in this village where you're seeing
Wow.
people who don't have access to any
Yeah.
of the resources that you take for granted.
Yeah.
And you're not just coming into the village to give them a solution, but you're working with them to understand what their needs are and how can you help them to create a solution that changes their future generations.
Mm.
And so it was the first time in my life where I stopped to think, you know, about Haiti as a whole and all the aid that was being given. But then I saw people who were still in so much poverty, and then the mindsets of the people were they didn't even know a way out of it where they could see their lives any different from handouts. And
Mm.
so I had the question: how can you design change for people in a way where it's systemic, where it creates a lasting change? It changes their mindsets about being empowered and the things that they're capable of doing. And Haiti is a place that some people know it for the poverty, but there are also people who visit Haiti in order for vacation. So they have these beautiful beaches, and so
So,
cruise ships arrive. And so on one side of the street, there's this extreme poverty, and on the other side of the street, there are people who are arriving in cruise ships. And I was like, so it's not that they don't have the resources that naturally occur. So they have agriculture and other things, but it's the mindset of the people. And if you can change someone's mindset, then you can transform their life. And so that was, it set the tone for the rest of my life and the way that I did things moving forward.
yeah. All right. Well, we're done. That was a great story. Yeah, I don't know where to go from there. I mean, that's just amazing. I do actually, but I'm just joking. Compassion is a huge word, and Mary Joy was talking about compassion last night. About compassion is this level of kindness with action involved, with this actual action where you can measure it and see it and all this stuff. And so,
Yes.
that's wonderful. But if there's other ways that we can help, since people are listening to this, give us a link, give us more information, things like that, because people always want to help other people. So if you think of something that, you know, I can type into the chat for people, let me know, and we'll make sure people know how to help, continue to help, because people have done that. All right. So how can you use that experience that you had to
Yeah.
kind of move forward and change other lives and so forth with your strength, your growth?
Yeah.
everything that you've got to share with other people. How do you take something like that and then translate it into other areas of your life?
Yeah, so I think that it's, as you said, what do you take from your past? What are these stories about your past that are going to help to shape your future? So, at the core of it, it's not allowing your history or your past to determine your destiny. And that's where the power of choice comes in.
Yeah.
So, you have to make a step to move beyond your past. So a lot of people who I know, they have, ooh, there's a fly. So they have one step in the past, they will have one foot in the past, and they have one foot in their present. So that's where things like childhood trauma comes in. So anytime something happens in your life, you go back to a situation in your life. So the thing that can happen can be both good and bad. So let's just say it was something good, like public speaking, which is something I've been terrified of, all my life.
We're both.
And I
We-
like every time I think of public speaking, I think of being in school as a child, probably around the age of 6 or 7 years old, getting called up to speak in front of the whole school,
Yeah.
to say like a
Yep.
line on a piece of paper and being terrified and
Yep.
not being able to do it. And so, anytime that I get asked to speak in public, the thought of that memory comes up for me. And I think that I can't. And the thing is that you
Wait,
have
I'm
to
gonna
be
stop you
able
for
to.
a second. Did it happen with this, or did you know you were in comfy zone?
I would say that I was in a much calmer position this time.
So now
Um,
remember this.
what's that?
Now
Sorry.
remember this to anchor your power instead
I
of
know
anchor your
exactly. You
fear.
you have to understand that. So in that moment where people are living in their past, they when situations come up in their future now, they relive those past moments, not understanding that they're no longer in those circumstances. You've grown, you learn different life lessons. You also have your experience, whether it's your work experience, your background, your personal experiences, who have shaped who you are today. And so, even if it was a traumatic situation in your past, people come from different situations of poverty, abuse, etc. But sometimes they're no longer in that situation. But every time a new opportunity presents itself, you go back to your past. So I would say it's less about having one foot in the past and one foot in the present, and having one foot in your present and one foot in your future. And saying to yourself, okay, so this is my present circumstance right now, and this is where I want to go. Yes, you use your stories of your past to as your experiences, but you're no longer using it to define who you want to be. So you're looking at your present circumstance and seeing that this is where I'm heading to. So it's just about reframing the way that you approach your life, and understanding that your circumstances in your future haven't even been created yet. So,
Yeah.
you don't even have to worry about
I
it
can't wait to
anymore.
see all the cool things you do. I'm way older than you. I have a child almost your age.
I was thinking about that. Your oldest boy is 27, right?
I'm about to be 28. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the
Yeah.
thing. Like, that was another thing that was very intimidating for me growing up, because I was always the youngest person in the room.
Yeah.
Even, in my
Yeah.
career, it was like everyone is like 15 years older than me, 20 years older than me, and you're just a child. But it's no
Whoa.
longer an intimidating thing. It's like, wow, I have my whole future ahead of me. And if I've been able to accomplish this much right now, how much
Here's the
more?
thing. Here's the thing about that. I'm 53, about to be 54, and I have just as much to learn from you as you have to learn from me. And if you
Mm,
approach it that way, the problem is you bump into people who treat you like a kid, or
yes.
we get treated like we're old, or whatever it is. The key there is just respect for each other, and that just baseline of respect and kindness and gratitude and compassion and collaboration and elegance and grace. All those things
Yeah.
that go with working with people, because
Yeah.
you've got something to teach me, and I'm sure I've got something to teach you as well. And if you're open to that, it changes the whole dynamic of that whole age thing.
Yeah.
Um,
You
yeah,
spend a lot more time listening to people,
yeah,
and yeah, and gaining from their experiences as
yeah.
much as your own.
Yeah, well, I love listening to you. You are one wise 20, what did you say, 29-year-old? That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah, well, it's fun too, because as you get older, 'cause if I've gotten older, it's like, oh, who can I help? What can I help do? How can I help you with your career? What can I, it's just totally changed from being the one who needs the help
Yeah.
to turning around and helping other people. And I still need help too, though, but it's all good.
I think we all do, no matter what stage of our life.
Yeah.
It's good to be able to admit, hey, I still have more to learn, and that's a beautiful place to be in.
And that's one of the things I think that is so key to helping people transform. One of the things about transformation and any kind of change you make is realizing that you're just not alone in it. And so if
Yes.
you find those people who know the flight path or can mentor you or stop and help you or whatever it is, those are powerful moments to help you succeed. So I'm grateful for everything that you've done for me with the Change Guidebook. That was really special when you were holding it up and all this cool stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. And I love the fact that one of my goals with this conference was to have it be a global success conference. So you're in Trinidad, we had somebody from UK, we had somebody from
Wow.
Spain, we've had people from all over the country, all over the world, sorry, chime in to this conference, and it makes it really cool. So anyway, all right, let's keep going. So let's talk about limitations. Or did we talk about that? Did we touch on that already?
We touched similarly on more of their personal experiences from their past, as
Yeah.
how can you overcome your
Yeah,
personal
I think we're good. I
experiences.
think we're actually good with that one. So let's talk about strategy then.
Mhm.
So what kind of strategies or techniques have been like helpful to people that you've seen in your past to help people make changes and transform?
Yeah, I think that the start of it, the big picture, is your identity. So it's a big part of transformation is how you see yourself in this present moment. And so if you can understand your identity and how you see yourself, then you can now choose what you want to look like in the future. So some of the, I would say, the strategies, for some people, what they do, they start off by writing. Some it depends on what stage of your life you're at. So you might write your resume for the first time and you put on paper all of the things that you've accomplished so far. And then if you're at a later stage of your life, you're writing a professional bio for yourself. And at that point of writing the professional bio might be the first time when you're actually starting to take account of all of the things that you've done in your life so far. And you stop and go, I've actually done a lot. And a lot of people don't stop to take account of all of the things they've accomplished and their experience. And so another thing is that you can look at yourself and you say, apart from this present moment, what if there were no limits in my life? Imagine that you had no limits of money, of your network, your connections. What would you want your life to look like in the future? So you start to develop a mental picture around what do I want my life to look like in the future? So, for example, for me, I could say, I'm a published author who's changed the world through a global empowerment program. And in this present moment, it might not actually look like that, but I know that in the future, this is what I want people to say about me so that you now have a picture of what are the things you're working towards achieving. And so, with that, one of the challenges is that when you start to frame this picture around who you want to be, and you do things like, say, you're going to speak live in front of an audience for the first time, everything inside of you is so it's like a rubber band. It's like you're stretching yourself beyond your natural limitations. And everything inside of you, this inner voice is trying to tell you to go back to the way things were before. This doesn't feel safe. This is not who I am. What if I fail? And then you want to go back to the way things were before. So now you have to rewrite the things that are in your heart. You have to be able to say, no, this is who I am now. I'm no longer the way that I was before. I no longer have these old boundaries that I need to use to protect me. I've changed. And so if you can start to do things to move beyond who you were before, you can start to rewrite how you see yourself, your identity, what's in your heart. And so those are strategies to move beyond and begin to transform and change.
Yeah. Do you think people do that? So type in the chat. Have you guys ever written your own bio? I'd love to know. Just type in the chat, yes, 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 no, 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 or something like that. If you have or haven't, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? When you go to write your first bio, or like every year, I kind of look at mine and look at it, and is it outdated?
Yeah,
Is it
there's this
new?
one that I did recently. It wasn't a personal bio. What it was actually a purpose statement. I'm part of this fellowship program
Yeah.
around social impact. And one of the first things they asked you to do is to write your purpose statement. Professional bios have never been hard for me because I've been in the professional sphere for so long, but a purpose statement was hard because it was no longer defining that these are the things I've done, but it's like a vision for your life. Who do you want to be? How do you want to help others, for example? So I now had to write a statement that clearly defined what was my vision for the way I wanted to create impact in the world. And that was really hard. Like, I mean, I know it in my mind, but to put it in a statement that I could share with others was so challenging. Um, But I think it's important to have a vision for yourself, the same way that organizations have a vision and mission so that they can define tangible steps to move forward. You need to have a vision for yourself as well, so that you can know where that you're really going to.
I love that. And I also like the fact that you take your, like, even if it's a couple goals that start you out as your vision statement. Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody's saying, I love it, a purpose statement. So yeah, write out a purpose statement. We'll give everybody that assignment, and you can come back to us in Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever in the DMs and talk to us about it or something like that. You don't have to do it right now, but over the next few weeks. But I love that idea. And what I love about it also is vocalizing it, because if you vocalize it, like if you tell someone about it for real, then it starts to become more and more real, especially if it's a super lofty goal. Because I can remember thinking, I was in my 30s and I'm like, by the time I'm 40, I want to be a published author. And I remember telling people that, and they're like, okay, how are you gonna, that it just started to become more and more real. And I kept saying it and doing it and so forth. And like 10 books later, it's like, okay, I'm 53. I'm going to put out another book in 2004. And it's like, all right, this is coming true. This is really happening. This is me now, kind of thing. But it started way back when with me about age 35 saying I want to be a published author at age 40, and then going from there and learning the publishing industry. So it was important to me. Is that what you think too? Like vocalize those goals? Because when you
Yes,
vocalize,
you're right.
people show up for you, don't they?
They do, and it might be a big group of people. Sometimes it's the people in your personal space. So for me, it's my best friend. We do that on a day-to-day basis. We start groups, and we have this tool that we use called Notion to plan our vision, and we challenge ourselves on a day-to-day basis to continue to grow. And we share those thoughts. These sometimes it's just like dreams that we have for ourselves with each other. And what's really powerful about it is coming back to the same thing about limiting beliefs, is that sometimes we believe some really terrible things about ourselves. So we have this vision, but then there are all these reasons why we can't reach there. And you have this person in your corner who's redefining the way you see yourself, because sometimes they see you so much differently from you see yourself. And I've experienced that, where I'm like, I can't speak in public. People don't want to hear what I have to say. And she's like, are you crazy? How could you think that? And so many other things. And you begin to have someone who helps you to shape your new reality as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, it's beautiful. All right. Let's talk about self-awareness and mindfulness. Like what role does self-awareness play in transforming? And I'm going to add something here. What role does self-awareness play with ambition?
Hmm.
Yeah. I thought you would do that. It's important though,
Yeah,
'cause otherwise you're trampling all over people if you're not consciously ambitious. You know?
ambition. Yeah, I would say that I am ambitious. Can I start with the first one and then go
Please,
into the
yeah,
second
yeah. I
one?
figured they kind of tie in a little bit.
Yeah. So, like for the first one, for me, the self-awareness is it's so broad. I mean, self-awareness can go into, like, as you're talking about ambition, sometimes it can go into being having empathy. But so let me just give you an idea, right?
Yeah.
So for self-awareness, how I saw it was, so imagine you're at home, right? And you're about to bake, you might be baking a cake or something, and then you reach into your fridge, and then you look inside and you realize you have no eggs. And it's been a really busy day for you. You've been juggling all these different things. You have pressing work deadlines, and you have four boys at home who have no boundaries on what they eat, or that they don't have enough to say to you, hey, we've run out of eggs.
Yeah.
And I kind of experience that sometimes, because I have a brother who eats so much, and then things finish and then he doesn't say, and then it's like you open the fridge and then it's gone. So
Yeah.
now you're in a stressful mood, because you're going to do this item, and then you have all these other things that's happening around you. And you now have to run down to the grocery, because no one else is going to do it, to go and pick up eggs so that you can finish the task that you wanted to do. And so you're hustling, so many things on your mind. You reach to the grocery and you pick up the eggs, and then because your mind is somewhere else, the eggs fall and they break. What is the thing that you think in that moment? And I think that's important, because for some people in that moment, they beat up on themselves. They're like, oh my gosh, you stupid fool. You never get things right. So they're beating up on themselves. That's some people. And then some people, on a broader perspective, they say, no matter how hard I try to hold things together, they always fall apart. And so, with self awareness in that moment, so this goes into self talk, it's how are you willing to pause in that situation and be aware of your internal thoughts? And some people, as you're saying, they call it self talk, right? And so, just going back to my notes because I just lost my train of
Well,
thought here.
I'm going to add a little bit to you here because, you know, other people, the eggs fall and they go, okay, we're going to be all right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that has
there's
to
no
be.
negative self-talk at all going on. It's like, oh, I just dropped the eggs. Oh,
Yeah, and I'm the second person where sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, no matter how hard things, I'm trying to keep things together, they always fall apart. And I had a moment like that this week where, you know, a friend of mine, I'm in my house and things just like, as you're talking about finances, everything just coming together at one point in time and my TV stopped working. And it was a month where it's just like a lot of different expenses are hitting me at the same time because I'm going to Switzerland this month in less than a week, and like there's these other little expenses that are coming up, and then this thing happened and it's like, oh my gosh, like I felt like I couldn't hold things together. And then my friend said, at least you have health, at least you have life. And then I felt so upset in that moment because it's like, you can't empathize with the situation I'm going through right now. And I was upset with her, but she had a different perspective on it, and it was an important perspective. And so that goes into gratitude. So self-awareness,
I was going to say,
bringing it back together. Yes,
root
is
gratitude.
yes, gratitude is so important. And
It's a whole different, it's just a whole different perspective when you root your entire life in gratitude.
yeah, and it's hard sometimes. It
It
really
is
is hard
sorry.
when you think that life is happening to you.
Yeah.
And so, what self awareness does, it allows you to take that pause of how am I reacting to the circumstances that's happening around me? What am I saying to myself about these circumstances? How can I redefine the things that I'm saying to myself? So, there's different parts of what self awareness can do. And I think what's crucial is that it allows you to be aware of your own thoughts and your feelings and your behaviors, how it's impacting your life, but it also helps you to define your strengths, your weaknesses, and then the areas that you need to grow in. So for me, gratitude is an area that I need to grow in clearly,
Yeah.
so that's why it triggered me. Um, but you asked me a different question, which was about how can it shape ambition.
Yeah, I'm gonna add right there though too, because with that whole story you gave too, one of the things that you can do is talk about energy there as well, because that whole energy space, you have high vibration, low vibration, and the more you're here with the negative, you get more of it. So
Yeah,
the more you can kind of flip it and
yeah,
get the perspective as fast as you can to keep practicing gratitude and train your brain and things like that in those moments of like, okay, it's just eggs kind of thing.
yeah,
It's hard to do that because it feels like, there's a lot of things. It wasn't just eggs, really. It's
yeah.
bigger than
It
that.
was all the other
That's
things that led
things.
up to that moment. It was my boys who they don't
Yeah,
appreciate me as much as they should, and all the hard work I do, and it's the
actually,
work and
and other things.
yeah,
And the eggs are just the,
yeah.
the thing.
It's the
Yeah.
icing on the cake, or let's just say the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
It's the,
Whichever way.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a tipping point.
But yeah, I do want to talk about ambition because there's all sorts of ambition out there, and with transformation and change and things like that, it can mean things like a job change, a promotion. There's all sorts of ways that we make change. So talk about ambition for a little bit mixed in there, and
Yeah.
what that means.
I don't know, like talking about ambition, it's actually never been a topic that I talk about. I shy away from. And I suppose it's because I've always been ambitious. So from a very young age,
Me both.
I've always known what I wanted to do. And that thing has changed along the way. But when it changes, like, okay, this is the thing that I'm going to do next. So from very, very small, I wanted to be a teacher, and this was like at the age of 5. And it's because my dad was a teacher. And then I got a little bit older and I said, no, I wanted to be a vet. So then from the age of 7 all the way to the age of 16, I wanted to pursue being a vet. But then I was so terrible at sciences, and so then I moved from that, which was like I was pursuing with all my focus. And I said, no, well, I'm good at IT. I'm going to pursue IT. And then I went into IT wholeheartedly and I pursued it for 8 plus years. And then I moved on. And the thing about it is that I think it's less about, sometimes people put so much focus on the thing that they say they're going to do and whether they accomplish that task or not,
Right.
and less focus on the journey to get there. So for me, it's less about, okay, I accomplished this task, and more about, okay, this is the thing that I say I'm going to do. So I'm going to move towards it. And even if that thing changes along the way, that's okay. We'll just go in that other direction and we'll figure that out. But it's about continuing to move forward. And so for me, that's what ambition looks like. It looks less like this is the thing that's so far away and I want to get there, and more about how can I keep taking steps to move towards that thing. And sometimes people, I would say that they lack ambition, but I hate to use those words. Like, I hate to use those words because sometimes it's not that they lack ambition, but that they see that the journey to get to this thing is so far away. So they think that the task is so impossible to be able to accomplish, versus focusing on the small steps you take to get to that. And it's about smart goals, like setting specific, measurable, time-based goals that are realistic. And you take steps. And so, like, for example, say you want to do your degree. The first thing you need is, you might need money. You might need to find out information about the course that you want to do. And you take steps to get there. You don't say, well, I don't have money in hand, so I guess I can never do this thing. So I think it's focusing on the steps that it takes to get you there.
All right. Do you guys have any questions for Carolyn? Type them in the chat if you do. We'll ask her a few questions. Carolyn, can you stay for another 5 minutes or so? We're at the 30-minute mark. Are you
Oh my gosh!
go,
Wow.
or are you good? Or, I mean, who wants Carolyn to stay on with us? I think I kind of do, but it's up to Carolyn. Does she have time? Are you good, or do you need to go? Do you have
Oh,
fun?
I'm good. I'm now looking through the comments.
Yeah.
I had it on the
Yeah,
chat.
a lot of highs and things like that. But if you've got questions, type them in. I'm gonna ask let me see. I'm gonna ask maybe another question or two. Um, let's offer some tips or advice for anybody who's struggling to make difficult choices, or take change, or make change, or take transformation in their life. You got any tips and tricks and advice and stuff like that?
Oh, sorry, I was in the chat. So yeah, I think, going back to where I was talking about my friend, you need to seek support, because sometimes you can live in your mind, and your mind can be your biggest enemy to progress and to change.
Okay.
Yeah, so you need support, and support can take many different forms. Support could be a friend, it could be your parents if you have a good support system in your parents. If you don't, sometimes it could be your boss as well, the person that you work directly with, and they also if they're a good boss, they're the person who is motivating you to continue to develop and grow. Or if you don't have any of those things, there's also hiring a life coach or a mentor who can work with you, who has walked the path before you, who has proper steps that you can take based on your experience, and they take everything and they shape it into something that you can use that's tangible to move forward. So I really, I mean, I've had very good mentors in my life at different stages, and I would say that they're the number one thing that has helped me to reach to where I am now, because they've helped me to see what was possible based on the way that they lived their life.
Well,
So seeking support is one.
okay.
And
Yeah.
then
Oh, sorry.
you
Go
have
ahead.
to go.
And we kind of got to go, but I'm gonna ask you one more thing. Like, let's say you bump into somebody who is around you, coach, a friend, or whatever it is, person, but they're sort of in your way, a naysayer, a negative person, somebody who was just throwing up a wall to your progress. I call it kind of like a parachute on your dragster. you know, what do you do with those types of
How do
people?
I deal with
And
naysayers?
running the other way, the other direction.
Um, I know how, I remember something from what you shared with the bubble wrap and the
Yeah, I
headphones.
have earplugs and bubble wrap personally
And
all day
I
long.
really do think that is important, protecting. So for example, naysayers generally don't have access to my vision for my life in the same way I do. I protect who I share my vision for my life with. So I share it with people who I know will support me in the proper way to be able to reach my goals. But for, like, the people who may be along the way and they're just talking about who they think you are, I would say that for me, it's just like, sometimes it's to take what they're saying, um, maybe even understand what they're saying. Because even in the negative things, sometimes there are takeaways from it. Maybe they say that you can't do this because of this reason. And they might actually be right. And it could be an area of your life that you can grow in and strengthen to continue along your journey. So you don't take what naysayers have and allow it to shape your identity and who you are. You have your personal vision for yourself. You share it with people who are close to you, who can help you to grow and to improve. And that is what's most important. And you allow yourself to speak. So you're speaking to yourself, you're speaking to your heart, and you're defining your identity. So that when people say things, it either rolls off your back or it allows you to reflect on, what is there any truth in what they're saying that I can improve on and continue to grow.
Yeah, and then we have the earplugs and bubble wrap metaphor. I actually have somebody who like carries those around with them in their pocket when they speak.
Yeah. So like
Yeah, no, they
AirPods.
put
Yeah.
earplugs in one pocket and a tiny piece of bubble wrap in another. And I'm like, you know what? That's comforting if you need that. So
Yeah, headphones is a big one for me. I
um,
love headphones.
we got another
Yeah.
question. They say, I want to do something different than what I'm doing. I just need guidance. What should I do to go for help? Yeah.
Well, I think there's so many. We live in an internet age. So I'm always starting new things, trying new things. I love knowledge. I love learning. So when I have a new idea, I saw somebody say something, I Google it, I research it, and I go down this rabbit hole. I allow myself to explore the full depth of what is this thing that might be interested in, and see who are these people online who are doing a really good job at it, and see how you can start by maybe modeling yourself off of what they've done before you, because they're successful people. And then along the way, you learn your own voice and you figure out the way to do it your own way. But you align yourself again with people who have gone before you, whether that's people online in some far country or people within your own space, and you allow them to help you to get the steps that you need to move forward. Don't stay within your head and say, oh my gosh, I can never accomplish this thing. Find
Drop
people
down
who
in
done it
circumstances.
before. Yeah.
You know what? To the person typing, you kind of just started actually. You threw a goal in there, whether you know it or not. You said, I want to work from home. That's a goal. So put a date on there and start to, put that somewhere where you revisit that goal um, every single day. That'll
Yeah, and if it's working from home,
Yeah.
research jobs that you can do from home. So
Yeah.
that's what I would have done. And through COVID, I didn't have to worry about an income, because there are so many jobs that you could do from home that you can find online. And so
Yeah.
start with researching it. That's a good place to start.
To the person typing to, they're like, I want to hire somebody to help me. How do I know if they're legit? I'm going to throw that actually to Best Ever You, and just let you know that the Best Ever You community is a trusted place and space. When we have somebody on here or writing in our magazine or on our website and so forth, they're generally qualified in some way or another. Sometimes it's a doctor, sometimes it's a therapist, sometimes it's a life coach, sometimes it's an executive, whatever it is. Generally, they have some type of qualification that has them here with us. So, yeah, some type of expertise, and that's always good knowledge. So, all right, it has been so much fun to see you and see your smiling, beautiful face and your beautiful spirit and
Thank
way
you.
about you, and energy and
Thank
knowledge and
you.
wisdom and all that good stuff. So, I think. Type in the chat. Everybody love Carolyn. Give some hearts and some thumbs up and some smiles and all that good stuff. I love the chat. That's a good group. Um, and we just anything else. Let's end on what you want to share with us. Anything else you want to share before we go?
Yeah. For me, I think it just goes back to having a vision for your life, know where you want to go. Going back to the analogy of the butterfly, it's just understanding that where you're at right now, your life can look so much different from the life that you have now, if you're willing to leave behind your old identity and adopt a new one. So I think
Beautiful.
that.
All right. All right, Carolyn, where would you like to send people to find you? LinkedIn?
Oh, so
The right
yeah,
space?
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
LinkedIn is perfect. I've been connecting with so many beautiful people on LinkedIn recently, and I think it's a good place to
All right.
connect.
All right. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Transformation. Great word. There's another one to write down. Transformation. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Take care, everybody.
Okay. Thank you, Elizabeth. Bye.